to go. Shane's Rib Shack for a Thursday night. Basketball in focus and going to get underway for another big evening. Got a lot of guests lined up tonight. A lot of activity going on. The court report. Basketball in focus. Shane's Rib Shack for a Thursday. And got Mike Barber with us. Mike with the first tee of the Triad. Also local basketball referee and feeling good about basketball season going full steam ahead. Also feeling good about city council activities right now to go with that. And you think about the first tee of the Triad. We'll talk about them first. And they're going to be the recipients of the charity money from the Timco Invitational Basketball Tournament, just completed in Coliseum about a month ago. I know you're pumped up about that. It's good. Sometimes you wonder, how did they get to be the recipient of the charity money coming in, and how are they going to spend that money when they get it?
Well, Andy, first of all, it's great to be with you. It's great to be here at Shane's Rib Shack. Mighty good food here. I'm looking forward to it.
Good place.
First of all, we're thrilled, and we were honored to be selected as the beneficiary from the Greensboro Sports Council of the proceeds of the Timco Invitational. And I think there are so many worthy beneficiaries out there. I think the Sports Council probably has a very challenging time.
You know, I see every year when the Wyndham has their tournament, they have a list of potential recipients, and
Yes.
that list is long.
It's amazing.
Tough
It's
to get in
amazing.
there.
And you mentioned the Wyndham. I mean, the charitable dollars that they give is absolutely extraordinary. But yeah, the Timco was a great success this year. 8 schools, 16 teams, boys and girls. The Greensboro Day School, of course, they were the boys champion, and the Juggernaut Page girls team were the girls champion. And anyway, it was very successful. You ask how we would spend the money. Well, the first tee of the Triad is, of course, a youth organization that teaches young people 7 to 17 life skills through the game of golf. And this year, 2014, we will have over 1,000 kids in our program. 50% or more of those 1,000 or more are on scholarship. They're financially challenged. So those kids would not receive the core values, the healthy habits, and the code of conduct information that we provide if it were not for Timco's sponsorship of the Timco Invitational and the Greensboro Sports Council.
And that's a lot of kids. Is that just kids around the Triad or all over the 1,000 kids?
Great question. You know, Andy, this started 5 or 6 years ago, and as recently as 24 months ago, we were just a couple of locations. In the last 24 months...
Back in the old days, you guys were working out down at around Gillespie Park, read about some work at Gillespie and some other place over in Winston,
Right.
and some places that people may not have heard as much about, and I guess, and you guys started spreading out more.
It's amazing. In the last 24 months, we've gone to 300 kids or less in a couple of locations to 11 locations and over 1,000 kids. We believe we're one of the top chapters among 200 chapters in the country. We've received the honor of hosting an elite golf academy. Only one of the 200 chapters hosts it each year. We'll be hosting that in the Triad area this summer, which will bring economic impact and 24 of the finest young golfers in America to our community. So we have a lot of great things going on.
Good things going on. We see some other guests for tonight coming in. Don Moore's going to connect with the Shutt family. They'll be up with us in a few minutes. Mike is with us right now, and you think about this first tee of the Triad, all the people you've worked with, all the kids that come through the program. I was thinking about, have you hooked up with those guys like Robert Linville, Precision Golf School? Do you do any work with them? And there's so much going on with golf. They've got their own publications around the Triad, and so much going on. People are starting to kind of adopt you guys and take you under their wing. That's got to feel good about the reception you've received, I'm sure.
It is absolutely wonderful, and we have so many great partners, and you mentioned one of them. We joined with Precision Golf and the Triad Youth Golf Foundation, their charitable arm, to create a par 3 league last year. We began to work together on that, and we teach our kids golf skills as well as life skills, but they didn't have any coordinated environment to play in. So these leagues provided them an opportunity to enjoy their skills and develop playing skills, not just hitting the golf ball.
That's a smart thing, too, to it's almost like our basketball game. In our basketball game, we encourage kids and try to teach kids to start out. You start here near the basket. Start beside the basket and work your way out. Most kids want to start at half court. Just start slinging up and start near the basket, make a few shots, gradually work your way back, kind of build your game up. Par 3, start on a smaller scale, smaller course that you can work with and gradually build and improve your game.
Andy, you're exactly right, and I'll tell you something that's extraordinary and that I think we're a best practice for the rest of the country to follow. We actually went to the city of Greensboro and utilized Gillespie Golf Course, and we mowed 9 simple golf holes into the driving range. The greens, of course, aren't perfect, but what it did is it taught our younger kids, 7, 8, and 9 years old, how to put a tee in the ground, how to hit it to a target. We got these oversized holes, so they all felt like they were incredible golfers because they could knock it in the hole. And all other sports, they start simple, they make it easy. In skiing, they put you on a bunny slope. In baseball, t-ball, in basketball, they give you a low rim. But my goodness, kids are asked to go out and swing big, heavy clubs on a regulation golf course. People in golf are just figuring out that you got to make it fun.
Yeah, you got to make it fun of the kid. He goes out, doesn't have success, gets frustrated, go home. They may not come back.
That's it.
We want these kids to keep coming back. Taking the Burr Mill, right?
Right. That's right.
It's not a bad little pathway location, too.
That's excellent.
How about from the first tee of the Triad? You're going to get the money from the Timco Invitational Basketball Tournament. That's going to be coming your way to help support the kids. What about you look at the basketball work you're doing yourself these days? Make a little money on the side. Don't have to have it, but I know you're glad to be back officiating again. Get a little money on the side, plus you get some exercise in, too.
It's absolutely wonderful. I do have the opportunity to referee high school basketball with the Triad Basketball Association, and it's great. I enjoy getting out there. Many of the guys that I officiate with, we've all been doing it for some, 20 years or more, and I'll tell you, every year I get a year older, but these high school kids are the same age.
Now, were you refereeing basketball games? I saw you at a game at Grimsby earlier this year. Were you over there back when Coach Bill Walton was there? Remember Coach Walton a few years ago?
I do. I remember Coach Phil Weaver.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. And
I think Coach Walton maybe came a little bit after him. And he was coaching up at Reedsville. I saw where he had stepped down last week, retired, and you probably remember some of those kids back in his day. Walker Holt, who was a good player at Grimsby back. Cameron Benjamin, I remember Cameron.
Sure.
And Ron Harris and others. I know you've enjoyed going to Grimsby to referee, not trying to support the old high school. That's kind of going back to your former Board of Education, so to speak.
Well, that's it. And in this community, it's remarkable the talent that has come through here.
Yeah.
I remember a game I had up in McMichael. It's been a number of years. I walked out and there stood Brendan Haywood, and that was quite a center toss. You had to get the ball up pretty high.
You were doing the game back when Brendan was playing.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's going back to the championship at Dudley in 1996. You go back to the late 90s.
I know it.
And Brendan couldn't hit a free throw to save his life.
No.
You probably remember watching him shoot.
Yeah, and he was a big human being, and he got fouled a lot.
Oh, man, he had a lot of trips to the foul line. Yeah, he was a big kid. Good kid, too.
Yeah.
I still hear about him occasionally. So that's pretty interesting, because the funny thing is, the irony of that is Coach David Price, who coached Dudley all those years, now he's a volunteer assistant coach at McMichael.
That's what I understand.
With his nephew.
In fact, Coach Price still feels he's a head coach, because I talked to an official last week who really caught an earful and turned around with a smile on his face and said, "Are you the head coach or the assistant coach? If you're the assistant coach, I don't have to listen to you anymore."
Yeah.
And of course, they both had a chuckle about that.
Oh, yeah, that's good, because he can nail him right quick.
Yeah.
Interesting, because you've seen a lot of good people keeping up. I bet it's a good way to I remember seeing you at games over at Smith back in your earlier day. We'd pop in and see you there sometimes. Do you always do the women's game and try and do the men's game, or sometimes the officials do like a women's game or a JV game, leave, and then a new crew come in? How's that work?
Well, it's a nice setup. On Friday nights and Tuesday nights, crews, three-person crews do, and I say person because you have a number of female officials now, and they're very talented.
Do a good job.
Yes, they do, but we start with the girls varsity and then go on to the boys varsity. And middle school, I'll say this, they've got a nice program in Guilford County because they will rotate and do the girls game first for a month, and they'll do the boys game first for a month. Yeah, and it's good.
They do that in high school wrestling, which really caught me off guard. To a wrestling match, and they started the match like with a 140. They draw before the match and maybe start with a 135 one week, and then just saw man, I used to always start with a 98 pounder and go to the big heavyweight guy. Now they kind of mix that up a little bit too, which is different.
Right.
A lot of changes in these sports.
Yeah, a little bit of equity there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, again, back to the talent in our community, you've got phenomenal coaching in this community. You've got this is basketball country, and you take the Page girls, for instance. A lot of guys, a lot of people, I should say, they flip the TV on, and they're only going to to watch men's sports, if you want to watch beautiful basketball, watch these girls, excellent girls high school teams play. The plays they run, you can see them develop. They run the floor. It's not a dunk fest, obviously, but it is pure basketball. It is wonderful.
We had a lady in here last week. Her son's 5'7". His name is Junior Lamont Robinson. Plays Eastern Alabama's Eagles. He's a McDonald's All-American nominee. 5'7", small kid, very fundamentally sound. Averages 25 points a game. But his mother said what we used to we sit him down and let him watch the women's games and let him watch those in their entirety so he pick up the fundamentals.
Yes.
You watch a Duke versus UConn game in women's sometime, you're going to see an eye-opening operation.
You better believe it. It's special basketball. And, these kids are learning these fundamentals at a young age. There are, again, so many great coaches. Kristen Shelton coaches AAU ball.
St. Pius
yes.
won 51 games in a row, according to what they sent us this past week. 51 straight games.
They are a juggernaut program. And my daughter, in fact, went to St. Pius and got to play. She was on the team. She didn't get a lot of PT. But, and it's all about the coaching. And it's learning those fundamentals. But Kristen...
We've got a team here locally, and I'm going to come right back to you. We've got a team locally called the Greensboro Homeschool Team. That team is like 17, 18, and 0. They beat Page this year.
Yeah.
Page lost to the Greensboro Homeschool Team, of all people.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. Segue here back to the first tee briefly. Seth Lamison.
Mention him.
Yeah, one of our ace participants at the first tee of the Triad is out west at a leadership academy this week, and great opportunity. But he is homeschooled, and the homeschool golf team in this community is pretty strong, I'll tell you. So, homeschoolers.
Well, you see the young lady on the crutches there. That's Kara Shutt. She plays for Southeast. She got hurt in the game against Page when Page played Southeast, and Paris Ski got hurt in the very first part of the game. She left the game with about 3 minutes expired. She only played 3 minutes the entire game. So Paris goes down, and Page still beats Southeast. That just blows your mind.
Wow.
They won without Paris in the lineup. And Paris is going to go down as one of the most memorable players to come through here.
Yes, some great players. You mentioned Southeast. Greensboro City Council, Yvonne Johnson, one of my colleagues, her granddaughter played at Southeast Middle School. She's a 9th grader playing varsity at Southeast. Watch her. She is a phenomenal
I went to a
point guard.
game when Southeast played at Northwest, and Walter Johnson Jr. was in the stands, so I know now why. I figured out pretty much why he was there early, but he was definitely into that game.
As the kids say, she's got serious handles. She can handle that basketball.
Wow. That's Yvonne Johnson's granddaughter.
Yes. Southeast High School.
Southeast High School of all places.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference in calling the private school games versus public school games? You talked about the talent levels around here changing so much over the past several years. See much difference in those? So sometimes, I tell you what's amazing, these games like, you look at Wesleyan versus High Point Christian Academy, the final scores were like 51-47. You say, man, those guys, that's a bunch of pride. They're good. The thing is, they've got so much talent. They play a different game when the top teams face. It's tight. It's heavy defense.
Sure it is.
And it'll be the same thing when Day School plays Wesleyan next week. Day School, when they beat Page, what was it? It was 53-51 in overtime.
Right.
I mean, that's the kind of game those guys want.
Right.
They're going to make you change the tempo of your game, the pace of your game.
Well, there's so much focus on scoring. People don't realize that the real key to successful teams is defense. But I don't see a lot of difference between public and private. I've called the Day School this year and some others. But I'll tell you, the evolution of the game, Andy, would be the thing I would comment on. And I'm far from any kind of expert. But as I've officiated, you've gone from set plays and a more static activity against zones to an up and down the floor track meet. They run the primary break and then the secondary break, and then they don't have the ball more than 7 more seconds, and they go to shot off.
And they've got sets within the sets. I was reading about that somewhere today. I was trying to figure all that out.
Yeah.
And you look at the Day School. Back in the day, Day School had those low-scoring games. The reason they had those back in that day was because they played that slow pace.
Sure.
Man, nowadays, you watch Greensboro Day, they run. I mean, they run like crazy.
Absolutely.
They got one tall guy, the Peter Ogba gentleman that just joined them this year. The other 4 guys are guards at Greensboro Day. You got the Moore kid. You got the Rouse kid. You got...
Is it Willard or Dillard?
You got Reggie Dillard's Little Will, his brother Little Will is on the team. I mean, those guys do run.
They do run, and you see that, and the successful teams are able to do that. So it's a completely different game than you and I played back in the day, and certainly that we watched 15 years ago.
Yeah, Yeah. But you probably enjoy it now, trying to get those workouts in. You could probably get twice the workout in now you did back in the day.
Well, no matter how hard I want to work out, I went from being able to backpedal on a fast break to run along the fast break to now trailing the fast break, trying to get a good angle on the play. So
see a lot of your officials you worked with back in the earlier days. A lot of those guys now moved from the floor over to the scorer's table. They're over there now.
Oh, absolutely. That's right.
Officials.
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
Because back in the day, Wayne Butler still worked as general. Never knew his last. I know it was Tom. He does a lot of the official scoreboard work in a lot of the schools. Those guys have moved on, I guess, to the other operation.
Right. Right. And you know, Andy, the great thing about what you do and the people that you interview week to week, you mention these people that have given so many great years to athletics in our community.
And memories.
Yeah, and they've made a real difference in the lives of a lot of young people that grew up to be contributing adults. You know, you were talking, come full circle, you mentioned Grimsley. Phil Reaver had a real impact on my life. And, you know, just these coaches, Coach Lowe, who's no longer with us from Kaiser. I mean, you know, there are sentences and paragraphs and days that young people remember from their athletics. And they stay with them all their lives, and they become part of their guiding light.
Yeah, I was humming a tune this morning. I think about coming out here today. I was thinking back in because I got some Western Guilford guys coming in later since I came out of Western Guilford. I was humming that tune, and I said, when we watch that Northwest film tomorrow, Coach Hollifield's going to have a cigar, Coach Henderson be outside with a crowbar, and Coach Jones be out there tearing up my car.
Nice.
School themes like that. We used to always put that bad together when I was in high school. But you don't forget those coaches.
That's right.
A lot of good memories.
That's right.
A lot of good memories.
That's right. Coach Lowe, the greatest one. You know, we're all very careful and gentle with children and all that. I remember ninth grade football, Coach Lowe came over. He stood on my stomach while we were doing leg raises, and he yells, "It's mind over matter. I don't mind and you don't matter. Get with it."
Stood on your stomach?
Yeah, but you know, it wasn't bad. It wasn't hurting me. But, you know, it was just a different day.
But that's good. You kind of like to see some of that again.
You better believe it. You better believe it.
Makes you a lot more prepared for that long, long road down the road.
That's it.
So what's on your agenda? You've got more things you got to do tonight, too.
Well, I'm actually fortunate to once again be involved on the committee for the Wyndham Championship coming up the third week of August. It is the 75th anniversary of the Wyndham Championship, and it will be a terrific field this year. We're perfectly situated now. We are the final tournament before the FedEx Cup and before the new year begins. You know, we couldn't be in a better position. Sedgefield Country Club, one of the top 5.
I remember back when they had the mini tour there for a couple of years. You were in charge of the little mini tour.
I was.
You kind of kept that Sedgefield revived. You kind of kept it on the map and probably helped bring it back over there.
We had some great years. The Nike Greensboro Open,
tour, yeah.
and the money that we raised was for hospice back in 98, 99, and 2000. So, but yeah, I tell you, Sedgefield is absolutely perfect. The PGA Tour members rave about the golf course.
It's kind of a neat thing, too, because you got Erwin Smallwood, who was just the honorary chairman of the Timco basketball tournament, who's still around, able to have been taking all that in over the years.
And Erwin, you know, he has his seat in the media center. He still has that seat there, and it always will be.
I'm going to keep this one at Shane's for a long time, I hope, too. Mike, thanks for being with us. I know you got to keep rolling, keep moving.
The pleasure's mine.
Yeah. Good luck to your son coming up next, too. I know he'll be here at Shane's pretty soon.
You better believe it. He loves it.
He plays ball for who?
Well, he's at St. Pius, and my daughter Kennedy is on the varsity tennis team as a 9th grader at Grimsley.
Good stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Good stuff. Thank you, Mike.
My pleasure.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Andy.
Keep up the good work on the city council.